First step is to make the roux. We've got the butter in the pan. We're going to add 1 level tablespoon of flour to that. And we're going to put this together under a little bit of heat until it forms a blonde roux. It's important to cook the roux over a medium heat, not too hot, because the roux will burn on the outside before it's cooked on the inside if you get the pan too hot. You can't rush it. Now it's going a bit. I'm going to add a teaspoon of chopped shallot, because it's all about building layers of flavor. And we're going to cook the shallot in the roux for, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes. Perfume the roux with the shallot. The roux is starting to take on some color. It's just the stage you want it to be at. You don't want it to be white, because that means the flour's not cooked yet. But you don't want to let it get too dark, because not only will that make the shallot start to burn, but you'll also have less thickening power in it. The darker the roux gets, the less thick it is. So I'm going to add the half and half now. 100 mils of half and half. And a lot of recipes tell you have to heat up the milk before you add it to a bechamel. This is just ridiculous. I don't know why this rumor got started. It makes absolutely no difference in the world, except that it's slightly faster in the final cooking time, obviously if you have the milk already hot. Other than that, it doesn't make any difference. Now we're going to turn up the heat a little bit from medium-low to medium-high and start this thickening before we add the other ingredients. Okay, it's been a few minutes here. As you can see, this is starting to gain some consistency. What we want. Now we're going to add a couple tablespoons of Parmesan cheese to this. It's no longer a bechamel, now it's a Mornay sauce. As soon as you add the cheese to it, it becomes Mornay. And a couple other things, we're going to add that 1/4 teaspoon of dried mustard, a little bit of salt. Not a lot of salt, because remember that Parmesan cheese is also pretty salty, so you don't need to go too heavy on the salt. Yeah, this is getting very thick now, so we're going to turn the heat way down. It's down on a low setting now. Going to add spinach in. It's about 1/2 ounce of spinach, coarsely chopped. And now we're going to add our lemon juice. Looking good. A little fresh ground white pepper. And finally, a touch of fresh grated nutmeg. And the base to this is now ready. It's done. So we're going to just kill the heat on this and leave this off to the side to assemble it. Now to make the breadcrumbs for this, you're going to take 3 very thinly sliced pieces of bread, and we're going to cut them into small cubes ourselves. I'm not going to use a food processor for this, because we want the cubes smaller than the food, larger. We want the cubes larger than the food processor would be able to provide. Okay, this is the size crumbs that we want. And now we're going to drizzle these with a little bit of olive oil, moisten them up, make sure that they toast up real nice. You just mix this together on the board. That's it, just to give them a little bit of an oil coating. And now we're ready to assemble. Okay, this is the ideal dish for this. You want a shallow gratin dish. And I'm going to put this mixture, the spinach and the Mornay, this. Smooth it around a little bit. Because this is quite thick, we're going to make a little depression, a little bit of hole here in the middle. before we add the egg. That'll help make sure that it stays in the center. And now we're going to scatter those breadcrumbs over the top, like this. And that goes into the oven for 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes in my oven, might be slightly different in yours. Broilers vary a lot from one to the next. Let's see how it looks in 5 minutes. What you want is that when you break into the middle of it, that yolk is still completely creamy, and that becomes part of the sauce.